Cradle, Dogs of Fount, Chapter 24, Part 1. They were in the city, granted on almost literally the edge of the city, but no less true because most of the skyscrapers still stood, and most of them were still fully functional. Inside, in the neat, carpeted hallway, there was moderate foot traffic, but an almost defeated silence. Things just don't go back to normal so fast after a nuke is dropped on you, Nate thought. Heather was fidgeting with the cuff of her jacket, of her tactical jacket. She'd been doing that all morning. It was her bulky data watch. The black steel face was catching on the fleece lining in the sleeve, but she refused to take the watch off. Nate gathered she was fond of the watch, to say the least. "We make a left," Nate said. "What?" Heather must not have heard. "Take a left here. The office is down the hall," Nate directed. Nate scratched his left forearm. His wound was completely healed to the naked eye, but he was still on a nano regimen. Some minor muscle tears were incurred, and muscle took about 3 weeks to build sufficiently to last a lifetime. He didn't need the meta-sleeve anymore though. Sometimes during the week he had to wear it, and the pressure it put on his arm was maddening. It wasn't just pain, it was like being helplessly at the mercy of an annoying sound, or like someone touching you that you didn't much care for. However, being there with Heather distracted him enough, even to the point to slow down his chain smoking. They were about 20 feet from Commander Henson's office. They thought it was just a short briefing before they headed back to Fount in a week. It was odd, now that Nate thought of it, that the general went easy on them. He'd keep his ears open. Henson's wood door was closed, and they listened to see if he was busy, but it was silent. Nate knocked, and they waited for a moment. Soon the door opened, and the tall commander nodded and brushed his brown hair from his forehead. "Come in, have a seat," Henson said as he made his way behind his desk and sat. He had an abalone globe with the old world countries on a wooden cabinet to the left of his desk. Nate thought he might be another man of history, as Nate liked to think of himself. The two sat just after Henson did and waited. "I won't keep you long. I listened to your report on your meeting with Spencer Tyke." Henson seemed like a very dry and serious man to Nate. They stayed quiet, sensing he just wanted to get through the formalities. "Tech to be deployed at the Mountain City, Cyphers' base of operation. You two are very knowledgeable about the situation. Experts of covert operations. Yeah, good." Henson looked up and blinked his eyes a few times. He sat back in his chair and frowned for a moment. "You guys are on hold for the time being. Take the time for R&R, Henson directed. "And then we head to Fount for the mission?" Nate asked. No, it's been assigned to another soldier," Henson answered. "Soldier? Only one person? I would say that's kind of dangerous," Nate made his input. "It's a capable soldier," Henson said flatly. "Your ally. Ramsey will inform you when the time comes." Henson stood and offered his hand. Nate was pissed, and he looked at Heather, who seemed worse than him at hiding it, but they both shook the man's hand and left the office, Heather resisting the urge to slam it shut. They waited till out of earshot. "What a D," Heather said, lips drawn slightly back. "Yeah, it's BS," Nate said distractedly. "But I think something's up." This shocked Heather somewhat, and Nate was surprised that it caught her off guard. "Yeah, they're changing plans for a reason. I don't have any idea why though," Nate went on. They reached the double glass door and pushed through and walked into the subterranean mezzanine area with black marble slabs dressing the walls hallway and stripped beige wallpaper climbing the rest of the way to the ceiling. They stopped by the glass balcony barriers and were silent in thought. It didn't matter who overheard because there was no plans for retaliation. They were just in need of details. "We gotta go to Ramsey," Nate said plainly. "Right, he always knows what's going on," Heather agreed. "And if he doesn't, he probably knows someone who does," Nate added. Heather nodded.